Welcome to another episode of Strategy in Stereo. This podcast is about exploring a wide range of strategies for success and personal growth in both business and life. We cover topics like personal development, leadership, entrepreneurship, and growth mindset. Our life is a training ground for our personal growth. We are just athletes trying to find the secrets of the inner game of life. This show is hosted by Cruz Gamboa. That's me. Today's episode is called Sales is Love, and my guest today is Adele Kamel Whitley. So sit back and enjoy. So I wanted to introduce today's guest, Adele. She is a person that I've known now for a while, and I just thought that she would be great for today's topic. But let me tell you a little bit about her. So Adele is a public speaker, a certified life and mindset coach, and also an NLP expert. She's been in the sales world for over 20 years, and she has a lot of experience in marketing. So she's a person who we can consider an expert in the topic of sales. She actually is now, her brand is By Yourself. And I'll give you a little bit of an opportunity to talk about your practice, Adele, at the end. Her passion is really to empower individuals and maximize their full internal potential in all areas of life, but also obviously in business. And I just love that. And I thought that she would be great to have today's discussions. So back to you, Adele. Anything that you want to say?
No, thank you for this opportunity, Cruz, and thank you for doing this. I like you said, we've known each other for a while now, and I love your mind. I love your mind with the soft side of the mindset, but also the business side of it, because we're gonna dig a bit deeper into this topic. But I don't think one goes without another. Those days are gone.
Yes,
We need to connect on a deeper level than just following a script.
that's right. And I I introduced the show by talking about sales is love. And I mean, personally, when you hear the word sales and love, I don't know that many people make that connection, right? Because
Mm.
anytime you talk about something that does not seem like scientific or business like, people just get a little bit out of their comfort zone, right? But I'm here to say today, my thesis is that to be an excellent salesperson, right, you need to be someone who actually loves your customer, loves your mission, loves your product that you're selling. You need to be completely bought in into the service that you're providing to other, right? Because if you don't, then you don't come off as authentic. You can't really have the other person's best interest in mind. But I mean, I already said enough. I should probably just let you sharing the expertise here. So here we go.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I fully buy in with what you're saying and agree with you, Cruz. I mean, you said it yourself. If you're not bought in, which is now my company is By Yourself, and that is actually what I found out when I've been working these 20 years in sales, whether it's in my own business or running sales teams. I was always curious what made people not sell. Like, they were committed to the cause, they did the process, they did the prospect, they did the follow up, and by the end, they were just afraid to ask for the order. So I started digging deep and analyzed this as I went down my career. And just like you said, I realized like three main topics, but we can talk about more further down. It's people were not bought in on themselves, which means they didn't believe in themselves, or they have not bought the product or the service that they sell, so they don't believe in the product or the service, or the company they work for. So whether it's the values of the company or the leaders or anyone. So these three things, if you have not bought into them, then I think a sale is very, very hard, and it's total opposite from love, right? Because believing and buying into something is kind of saying, I like this, or developing love for it. And it's also interesting what you said, that when people hear the word sales, they kind of cringe, and it's been kind of also my parallel mission to question that, because I go, but what is it that makes you not like sales? yeah, there was this bad salesperson once. Okay, have you met a good salesperson once? Yeah, many. I mean, every time I buy, it's mainly because if I buy with a discussion, it's mainly because I love the salesperson, right? And then I go and ask, so everything bad that happened in your life, you had a bad relationship. Do you hate relationships? Most likely no. I mean, most people we know want a relationship, have been in a relationship that failed, and are looking for new relationships or are in a relationship. So I think it's an old thing that's just, come from beliefs or habits or behavior or just hearing people saying it. And I think it's time to change that a long time ago.
I agree, and especially I've been in now in commercial slash sales roles for over 12 years, I would say.
Mm,
And I at first it to me as I was new into the sales world, I was mostly focused on actually solving problems, which is actually there's
mm,
nothing wrong with that. Let's agree, right? So where you're solving a problem and you're really just focused on the task. But then I realized that just solving the problems sometimes is just not enough
no.
because you just have to get into understand the pain points and the psychology of your customer. That's where
Yeah.
you should be spending most of your time because you think you're solving problems, but are they the right problems?
Mm,
So from that perspective, you could say that sales is love because love is care. So you care about the person that you're serving, right? So you're coming from that service oriented approach where you really want to understand what's on your customer's mind. What are their pain points like I said, and then solve the right problem. So that's something that I noticed for a long time. And then I will also say that one interesting observation when it comes to sales is that a lot of people think that they actually have to push and manipulate, right? And
mm,
pressure customers into doing
mm.
things. And that's happened to me before because obviously we have sales targets, quarterly targets, and whatever that
Of course.
we want to meet. And then we get into the situations where, for example, the parent company puts a lot of pressure into the next level, right? Which is the salespeople. And then the salespeople or the sales leaders put pressure on their sales teams, and then their sales teams actually put a lot of pressure on the customers. And there's nothing I would say that even in life, I have found that every time that you come from that energy of like pushy or needy or like
Mm,
finish, let's close the quarter, let's close the sale. I just find that so, uncharming, unattractive.
yeah.
It's just a turn off when you have somebody that is just so just pressuring you into doing something. And I think everybody gets the pressure of meeting your targets, right? So it's really all about the deliveries because the reality is that corporations are what they are. They're not going to change.
Mm, mm,
What could change is you as an individual and how you manage that messaging, how you manage that relationship, and how you manage your own energy as you try to incentivize and induce a customer to close on a transaction. So
mm.
what reactions do you have to that statement?
Yeah, no, again, agree there. And I mean, this is also, I think, where this false reputation of sales comes from, right? Because sales is pushy, you said. And this is what many people think sales is pushy because they do it in the wrong way. So it's like doing anything in the wrong way, then it's going to be this friction. And like I said, not coming from this authentic place. And so I think what we should do, or what I think what we are doing right now, is to inform. If it doesn't come from the top and the leaders, then at
Mhm.
least inform the salespeople that, well, dare to stand up, dare to maybe not to be too blind on the numbers, and go and say, well, I want to build connection with these people because people can immediately sense if you care about them or not, right? So you go into a sales call, and there is it takes some seconds, I think, before they know if you're there to help them or if you're there to just go through a script and then close or not close the deal, right?
That's right.
And also, if it can take time. Sales can take time. Relationship takes time. How will anyone especially high ticket or expensive stuff. How would anyone buy anything from you if they don't know, like, and trust you? And you don't know, like, and trust anyone in the first call. Or obviously there can have been some marketing activities before for brand building and top of funnel and middle of funnel, but still, so I what I do want to emphasize on is the connection rather than the close. Because if we get the connection, I think the close will follow. But I think we tend to do it the opposite. Think that we'll close, and then it starts. No, we first start with connection and then we close. So yeah, no, that's my approach to this type.
So I'm thinking about something that you just said, that connections need time, right?
Mm.
And I'm wondering if you've ever encountered a situation where you have somebody who's been covering an account for a very long time, and you believe that that person would have a very deep relationship with that customer, or at least that's what they would represent, right, to you as a sales leader. And yet, when you are having dinner or having drinks or in the middle of a negotiation, you don't get that sense, right? You don't get that
Mm.
sense that that connection is really deep between the salesperson and the customer. So, from your perspective, what are three or four things, like what are some good markers that would allow us to tell that you actually have a very good connection with that customer? Because obviously you cannot, you also have to be careful not to cross the line and make it into definitely a friendship, because then
Mm.
that's like it lends itself to misperceptions, not misunderstandings.
Mm.
I would just say mostly misperceptions from others who are not part of the relationship, because you can be friends and yet you can be
Mm.
very fair in business, right? So that could
Mm.
be
Mm.
used as an advantage to be able to have a transparent conversation. But more importantly, how do you know if someone has a deep enough connection with a customer?
You mean it from an outside, like if I'm a sales
Yeah,
leader
like,
and
well,
I'm
even from
yeah.
an inside, like how what are the markers that would allow you to tell that that connection is deep and that the person is approaching that customer with the right energy, so to speak?
Um, for me, it's been more how you get, like, the energy and the connection between the person again. Like, do they have their guards down? Um,
Yeah,
are they also, do they dare to share what they really feel, or do they answer what you think they will answer? And stuff like that is super easy to see, right? So there's either the authentic conversation, or there's a conversation that we know that we can just cut the crap. We're gonna leave this, and we're not gonna, there's nothing's gonna happen between us, but we need to be here to show up. So if you want to have, like, real measurable marks, I think it's much more that, like, at the end of the day, what will be measured is the numbers. There are several times where I have worked with customers and literally had the frustration, like, felt their frustration of call after call after call, no close, no close, and they just feel like, but I'm not here to make friends. And you go, and again, there we come about love and sales. But you are, I mean, you're here to build a relationship, maybe not a friend to spend time with on your free time, but a friend in business. So you're on the same side of the table. um, so there's many times when I've worked with that salesperson and their mindset around just keeping the core, serving, serving, serving. And even when these people have left the company, those prospects, whether it's half a year later or 1 year later, come back to them when they are ready to buy, to say, well, now I'm ready. This program or that's the thing that you were selling. And that for me. So maybe it's not in a situation like you said on a dinner, but that for me is also proof that you've built a genuine connection, that you've served, that you know what it is to show love in sales, and not just sell for the sake of it.
that's
But
awesome.
what about you? Do you have
No,
any
I mean, I
tips?
think that's it, right? I mean, you said it. The number one thing is, does the customer feel comfortable enough
Mm.
to sharing their vulnerabilities and tell you, you know what, this is, here's the problem that we're having. This
Mm.
is, uh, by not having this thing that you have, this is creating
Yeah.
this problem. Okay. And I'll tell you very honestly, there's your competition, I guess, who are actually offering the same product, but They have this, they have that, they have promised this, we have concerns, we are really giving you guys an opportunity to get this deal done, or to be the ones who
Mm.
close the sale. But we just want to know, we want your help to convince us that you guys are going to be able to deliver. And when somebody talks to you like that, it's just like that kind of table setting. You're like, okay, these guys really want to close, and they
Yeah.
really want to close with us. They're almost
Mm.
saying, like, quote unquote, help me, help
Yeah.
me help you,
Yeah.
right?
Where's the
That's what
paper?
they're saying,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So they're like, help me help you. So when a customer does that, that connection is strong, because let's be honest, okay? Unless you have the next new innovation, or your product for some reason is just a perfect fit, and there's no other product in the world
Yes.
that could actually deliver on that promise, people actually, even though they say they make decisions based on facts, based on they don't they make
No.
decisions based on emotions as well,
Yeah.
right? Like, I like you, I want to close a deal with you. That's kind of like
Yeah.
what really happens in real life. And that's not a bad thing, by the way. That's a good thing for your company, because you eventually, what you can do is just have business with just one supplier, right? So you want to mix it up. There are industries where you can actually do that, and there are industries where
Mm.
once you kind of go with a supplier, then it probably makes sense to continue to build that relationship, because it only gets better, right? You get better services, better penetration, but then that brings other problems, right? Because it's almost like a marriage. It's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
It really
Yeah.
is.
You invest so much in it. Yes.
Yes. So in
Yeah.
some relationships, the more business you do together, or the more meaningful that business is, then the relationship becomes so important that if you don't like the person on the other side, and you don't believe that their leaders and their company are going to have the right attitude and the right approach to problem solving, then it makes it very difficult for you to make a decision, right? So,
Mm.
that's another way in which that explains why people will want to be choosy, or want to develop a relationship with you when entering into business.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah, go ahead.
But you nailed it there. No, no, you nailed it. I think I read the statistic is like 80-20. 80% of the sales we buy 80% with our emotions and 20% on fact. I mean, for me, that's a huge advantage. It's also a huge saying a lot about sales and love, right? Because I mean, yes, emotions can be a lot else than love, but it can also be love. So that's a huge advantage in that sense. And I've had one person that I worked with, and going back to what you said, they were dealing with a tender, and they were the most expensive alternative. So this person, and we were talking, and I just said, just be yourself, serve, show them that you care. And like you said, there's also different touch points. Not everything has to be about closing that particular deal. You can also, if you pick up other stuff that they're struggling with in their company, or in their, by themselves, or with their team, because you still have, expertise and profession and experience, you can help them with that. And with that, you're also building a trust and relationship, and showing love for that person, not only for your product, but also showing love for that person in a holistic way. That you care about them being a good leader, or you care about them being successful in their company, whether they buy your product or not.
Totally.
And so back to this person, at the end, they won the tender, and I think they were 3 times more expensive. And we're not talking about 10,000 crowns here or euros
Wow.
here. We're talking about like millions. This is like big machines. But that just said it all. And from then on, of course, it's easy to do it once you have the proof of concept. But from that on, then on, that person just knew that if I just stay the course, if I keep serving, if I keep building relationship, if I keep giving, if I keep being my authentic self, I know it will come if it's a good fit. That's a very important thing. If it's a good fit. If it's not, it's also, the emotional intelligence to know it's not a good fit. It's not about me, right?
That's
It's
right.
never about me.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this is also, I was just thinking about the importance of how of just listening, right? Not
Yeah.
only listening at the time when you are going through the sales process, right? but
Yeah.
also even like post sales, right? Like when something happens, because sometimes, there are some industries where you actually sell big things that then need to be designed, installed, tested, launched, calibrated, and then service for a very long
Mm.
time. And when you have that sort of post sales relationship, the way that you respond,
Mm.
it's super important. And
Yeah.
I will say that a lot of, in my experience, what I've seen, a lot of the ability to do further business for certain companies in the future with a certain customer also depends on their willingness and their eagerness to be of service when something happens. So,
Mm.
like for example, the whatever machine or whatever it is that you or software or whatever it is that you deliver crashes, right? Or
Mm.
it stops um, generating in the case of my industry, generating power, right? When you have
Yeah.
like a gas turbine that stops running, that's a big problem, because that's
Mm.
millions of dollars that company is selling. So your your response as a company and as a sales representative is just so important, because that is the one moment when things get really tense, when the other side of the person at the other side of the table is really vulnerable, right? They are in
Yeah.
a position of weakness. They need you to come through and do whatever it is that you need to do. So your
Mm.
response and the ability of the leadership also to give confidence and and to give results really for whatever problem that comes up is so important. And it's no different in relationships. If you think about it, that's what we're talking. Like sales is love, love is also relationship.
Yes. Yes.
And when you have a, for example, between a romantic couple, right? When one has a problem and comes to the other person, you want to be met. You want the other person to really listen, and
Mm.
you want that other person to just have empathy for
Mm.
what you're going through, and try to help you in whichever way that person can. Sometimes they can't. They just need to listen, right?
Yeah. Mm.
So I would say that's another sort of another way in which sales is also love. What do you think about that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you've taken the time and the effort to build this connection, to build this relationship, you have become a part of that person's life, or you have become a part of that person's company. So I would then say, like I said before, you're on the same side of the table, you partner up with them, whether, and that should be more important after the deal is closed, because this is when you show up. This is when the real you show up. Otherwise, this is what the alarms that will go on in their head is, they just did all that to get me to close, right? But when shit hits the fan, are you that person that shows up, and stick to your words and even over deliver? Because obviously you're not going to say, if this and that happen, I will do this and that, right? So this is when we start building the deeper relationship. And this is where we also start building a relationship that will lead to, in the same company, upsells, but also you don't know who those people know, right? So it can lead to referrals. It can literally be the make or break in a career, or actually maybe being the fast track in a career is how you show up after the delivery, and what you have, how you show up when shit hits the fan. So absolutely. And that is also not taking for granted that relationship you've built. you know yes, you built it from the beginning from a professional standpoint, and maybe it will always be a professional standpoint, but we're still talking about emotions here. We're still talking about trust. We're still talking about integrity and showing up as the person, because at the end of the day, behind all titles, there are people. There is
Therapy.
you and there is me, right? So and that can have a tremendous effect, a ripple effect, if you treat it right.
So I was kind of just giggling here by myself, because I was thinking about an analogy, right? Because sometimes when you have a transaction, you have maybe two people, maybe the sales rep on one side, maybe sort of an engineer, or a purchasing expert on the other side, right? But you know how they say that when you marry somebody, you also marry their family,
Yes, exactly.
right?
100%. We know we're from Lebanese, Venezuelan family, even more.
So so when you're in the process of doing business with somebody, I mean, it's really not just the two of you, right? It's really your leader, their leader's leader, their the whole organization in maybe in more than one level, and also in finance,
Mm,
engineering, in marketing, in product line. Um, so yeah, well, I don't know. That's just kind of a silly observation, but I think that's also true, right? I mean, it's the two organizations that come together to just to
exactly.
be able to just go through that process. And obviously, we're not talking about used car sales in here. We're talking about a little bit
No,
more sophisticated. There's
yes.
nothing wrong with that, but it's just they're just maybe different.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, you said it's a small thing, but it's definitely a big thing because at the end, again, like, who is the support system that's going to make this happen? Whatever it is that you're selling or you're buying, you need a marketing team, you need a leadership or a board that's on aligned, you need a finance team, and if they are not aligned, so like I said, in that partnership, if that family and the values and how you do things and how you handle things is not aligned, it can also create some friction. So no, it's a big thing if we do big things. So you said, like you said, it also depends on the product and the complexity of the deal, of course.
That's right. So,
Yeah.
so I was just thinking, um, as somebody who's been a mentor to and a coach to sales leaders, what is the one thing? So, if you have to say, this is the one thing that you really need to understand to be an effective sales leader using this concept of sales is love, what is it? What is that one thing that you would recommend to someone, or you would help somebody develop as a skill set?
That it's not about you. It's never about you. Get out of your own head.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do. We think that it's everything is the world revolves around us, and if anyone says no, it's no to us, or if they don't have the problem that you're thinking that they're having, right? So like you said in the beginning, it's not about you. When you go into the call, go in with a total blank sheet. Whatever you read in the pre notes or in the setting notes, make it about them. Don't create problems that are not there. Right? So listen to them and literally take that and be present and active listening, like we said, and just get out of your own way. This is not about you. At the end of the call, you're not going to celebrate yourself. You're going to celebrate the fact that you helped another person and solve their problems, their real problems, not the problems that you thought that they had or that you wanted them to have. And I think if you understand that, whether it's the sales leader leading a team, because it's also not about the sales leader, right? It's about the team and what support they need. Or if you're a closer or a sales professional closing a deal, it's never about you. And that is also why sales is love. Sales is service.
Sales is
Sales is
service,
caring about another
right?
person, right? Yeah.
Right. And I think
Yeah.
most sales people understand that, but I'm not sure that they really practice it.
Mm.
And I'm wondering, like, what is a good mantra that I mean, maybe it is just that love is sales is love and love is service. Maybe that's a good
Mm.
mantra. But what are ways in which, in your opinion, somebody could actually just get up in the morning and just make this part of their purpose? For example, right? Like
Yeah,
I
but
am.
literally go,
Yeah. Go ahead.
who can I help today? Who am I serving today? How can I be of best service? Like literally wake up and go, who am I helping today? Or I wonder whose life I'm going to change today. Again, it depends on what we're selling here, but literally come from a place of service and active service, a place of giving and loving instead of selling. So not how many deals are we going to close today?
Yes.
And just making a numbers game. So literally, I wonder who I'm going to help today. I wonder of the impact I'm doing today. How can I serve today? And that doesn't always only go into the whatever closing call or sales profession. It's in everything in life. If you wake up with that mindset, like who can I serve today, it could even be just smiling to a stranger. Literally, it can be making the dishes at home. That's also serving. And I think if you have that holistic mindset, being a good salesperson is automatically easier.
I couldn't agree more with you. I think that's those are really thoughtful. insights, and it is hard to,
Mm.
especially because I just put myself, because I've been there, right? I put myself in a sales individual's shoes. They just somehow, sales leaders. I know sales leaders. They also have a lot of fun. I understand that,
Yeah.
but they also get a lot of shit from everyone,
Mm. Mm.
right? Because I mean, sometimes
Yeah.
like I've been in a position where you are actually just trying to explain what the pain points are from a customer perspective. You're trying to explain the context of the situation that you're in, the positioning of your product vis-a-vis the competition, and then you also get people that are not salespeople, that have not been in front of customers, throwing all sorts of darts and all sorts
Mm.
of curveballs
Mm.
into the mix that are just really exhausting.
It
Sometimes
is. Yeah. Sales
um,
is hard. I mean,
sales is hard.
emotionally really hard, and that is why I'm doing what I'm doing. I noticed that. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to support this emotional roller coaster. If we can do the highs and the low much more steady or lower or higher, yeah, then it would be easier. But it is hard. It's always going to be hard. So prepare for the hard.
Yeah,
But if
well,
you
it's all
come
about
from a
mindset.
place of empathy,
Yeah, it's all about
100%.
mindset in the end, right? It's
Mm,
about mindset.
mm,
It's about emotional intelligence. Okay,
mm.
because even though your customers are gonna yell at you, your boss is gonna yell at you,
Yeah,
your company is gonna yell at you,
yeah,
everybody's gonna yell at you. As a
yeah,
sales leader, that's your job to be yelled at, right?
yeah,
No, I'm
exactly.
kidding, but I mean the point is, it all comes down to you, right? To the person that is leading the business,
Mm,
and and it is up to you, up to the sales leader, to really invest in himself or herself, um, from an emotional perspective, so that you
mm,
can always be top of your game, right?
mm.
I think to
Yeah,
me that's the secret, because otherwise it becomes really exhausting, to be honest.
definitely. And also knowing, go into the day knowing it will happen. I will get no's. I will have people that yell at me. I will have people that said that I'm stupid. But at the end of the day, you're not gonna die. And one mantra that I did teach someone one time is literally, they can't hurt you. The prospects can't hurt you. So if you understand that, whatever they say, they can't hurt you. They physically cannot hurt you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's, but it's a mindset thing, like you said. And it's like the gym. Some people say, yeah, but I think I'm positive or have a good mindset. Sure. Do you go to the gym once and think that you have muscles? You don't. Same here. And I know you also do. We still struggle with this. Like, I think it was last week, I was almost crying because of a sales process that didn't go my way. And but then I have to go to back to myself, and then I have to reach out to someone that I know would be able to put me in a perspective to see it from a bigger view. You cannot tickle yourself when you're in that emotion. You can learn techniques, you can have tools, but if you don't practice them and if you don't get this external disruption, it is much harder, really.
And this is why people need coaches.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think every top performance, high performance athlete or CEO or anybody who's doing anything big where the stakes are really high, you actually just need to have somebody who can help you develop that perspective. Somebody who has your
Mm.
back. Somebody who is going to, in a safe way, because you're actually paying them, right? I mean, they have
Yeah.
your best
Yeah.
interest in mind. Let's just be honest,
Yeah.
right? And
Mm.
they also love you. They also want to see you succeed, because your success is their success, right? That's
Mm.
how coaches have 100% alignment of interest with their clients' success. So
Should
I
be.
think that this is the one thing that I would say that people need to be more open to, just getting a
Mm.
coach. And there are all sorts of coaches out there. We know this. I mean, for example, you are more of a sort of mindset, right? But there are other types of coaches. It doesn't matter
Definitely.
which coach you pick, but just pick one that you feel comfortable
Mm.
with, and then practice with them, and sort of work on that mindset. Sometimes it can be done between 3 to 6 months. Sometimes it takes a long time, especially if you
Mm.
are in a big position and under a lot of stress and whatever. right? You need that mental support throughout that
Yeah.
process, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, you also know this. Once you come to the top of the mountain, there's another top of the mountain. So, every new stage of you requires maybe another coach or maybe just more coaching. But I believe that. And I mean, if you look at it, I love to work with people that have been doing sports because they know the concept of coaching. They know that, during their whole time they were in a team or did sports, they had a coach. So for them, it's the most normal thing in the world to have a coach. And it's different. You need different coaches, maybe in different periods of your life. Maybe when you were younger, you had a sports coach, or even, the athletes today, the professional athletes, everyone has a coach. And then you get older and you start a career or you have a business, you need maybe a business coach, you need a mindset coach, or sometimes you might need a financial coach, right? So, but if you want to, get peak performance and, be a peak performer, a high performer, I don't know anyone that does not work with a mentor or a coach. That could be, one brain, two brains is better than one brain. I always said that can be that external disruptor that just helps you think in another way. Yeah,
That's great. So, look, I think this has been a great conversation. I think from my standpoint, I think we've covered all the bases. I mean, there's always so much that we can
yeah. I
continue
can
to
sit
talk
for
about.
hours.
I know we can go on
Yeah,
for hours. That's
yeah,
one thing, right? We can go on for
yeah,
hours. So I'm
yeah.
being mindful of people's times, and I just wanna keep it short and simple, and hopefully
Sure.
there's enough nuggets of wisdom in the discussion with you. And I just wanted to thank you, Adele. It's been great sharing this time with you, and look forward to maybe doing another one in the future.
Yes, I can't wait. And thank you, Cruz, for doing this work. Keep it
All
up.
right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.